Theo, boops. Theo, kiss. 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 More kiss. Kiss. More kiss. Ah, yes. Good boy. And welcome to How to Spin Your Dog Fur 2.0. If you've been on this channel already, you know that we already have a video on how to spin your dog's fur into yarn. But since that video, I have come up with ways to spin the fur a little bit more efficiently, quickly, and I'm here to show you some of the products that I've made thus far. So the previous blanket that we made, it was good, but we made this new one, and this is a queen size blanket. And it's big, but one thing that I didn't do with this blanket was ply the yarn. So by plying, I mean taking one string of yarn and twisting it to itself. So you make the yarn much more robust and durable over time. So you can see we have some holes because I didn't ply it, and we kind of use it as a throw, so it needs to be a little bit more durable. So that's something that is new that I hadn't thought of in making the previous video. This is obviously Theo, who's here to help us spin today, and this is the dog where all the yarn has come from. So this blanket was about 2 years of shedding. One of my friends, Samoyed and Sheltie mix, is the gray. And then we have another video on how to naturally dye the yarn, which is avocado pits and skins for the pink, and onion peels and onion skin and coffee for the yellow. So depending on the mixture, you can change the tone of your dye. So this other side is a matching side, but you can see the dye is different because I used a different batch of my own dye. So we'll put this blanket kind of off of Theo. So cute. And then here's a pillowcase that I made out of the yarn as well. I think I included this in the previous video. So this is the coffee, or this side is the coffee, much more contrasted to the white. And then this side is just some of the pits and skins, but after the darker batch was done, I put this in for another contrast. And this was much thicker. It's also one ply, but it's been much more durable in this fashion because you're just rubbing on one side. It kind of felts over time and gets this really nice fluffy look. But yeah, I'm definitely double plying my yarn from since then. So another another project I've been starting is a vest out of Theo's fur. So here is the front of the vest, kind of like this is the bottom. And this is a crochet pattern. So I have this at the bottom and then leading up to the top. And as you can see, it's been double plied. So it's very thick and it's going to be really warm. So hopefully I finish that maybe sometime in the summer. And then this is just the other side I made with the same batch dye. So that will be the front, and then this will be the back that I'll work on after I build out the front. So what do you need for this 2.0? Why is this different? So the first video I made was using a much more manual process, which included just 2 slicker brushes for carding, which are really cheap and easy to get at your local dog pet store. And then I used a wooden spindle as the spinner, and that's much more slow, but again, like 50 bucks, really cheap, a good introduction. I'm still using the PVC pipe as the nitty naughty, but we've leveled up a bit. So I'll show you in what way. So first, I didn't want to buy a drum carder, which is how to card. It's kind of like you have to spin this drum and you put the fur, and all of the roving ends up going in one direction. All of the fibers go in one direction and you spin it from there. So what I did was instead I bought a blending board, which is much cheaper. This is from Golden Fleece Carders, and this is a Canadian company or European. I'll have to include the link below. But this came with its own little slicker brush, but look how long the teeth are on this. I'll show you a little bit in more detail later. But this will go just like this to blend all of the fur in one direction. And then it comes with these two wooden spools to then take the fur, take the roving off, and we can spin it from there. So that's one of the ways we've upped our game, our spinning game. Another way is this e-spinner, this electric eel e-spinner. So you can spend hundreds of dollars on the Ashford spinner. Oh, where's the other one? You can spend hundreds of dollars on the Ashford spinner, but this was a 100 to 150 USD. And this is a 3D printed electric spinner that's very small, but it's very, very effective. It has a little tiny motor, and the wool comes out through here and spins. We can spin it like this. Comes with a few more bobbins. You can see Theo's yarn is already on this. And then I still even double ply from here using this spinner. So we will get to that a little bit later, but those are some of the ways that I've upped my game, and I'll walk you through that process in this video so you can start, or just see how I'm doing it. See how I'm doing it. And then eventually we'll have a nice vest and so many more items from Theo to come. Isn't that right, Theo? This is Theo post-hike, and he had a really long hike this morning, and he's really stoked to get into some spinning and just hang out on the couch with me spinning for the day. Oh, and I almost forgot something that I haven't leveled up, but something that you'll need to spin is a big bag of some dog fur. So I have another video on how to line comb your dog, and that's really how to get that nice undercoat premium fur for spinning. And you can see there's a lot of fur in here. I've been collecting for a few months now, but it is so lofty. Like this huge amount of fur can just go into this like very small ball, and it's highly, highly insulating samoyed fur and dog hair. So if you have something like a Malamute, sheepdog, they're incredibly dense. Like that ball of fur is just so warm, and it will keep you warm, and I think it'll make the best vest in the West. So yeah, first let's get to the roving. So we've got our big bag of fur over here. We've got our blending board, which has rubber on the back. It's got a handle to hold, and it's got our big tooth comb, slicker-like brush for carding. And we've got our two wooden dowels. So I'll start off with just this piece of floof, let's say, and just really just start anywhere here. I usually start at the top, and it's going to get really deep into the blending board. But you'll start to tell, you know, this is so much quicker than just using two slickers over time. This has really upped my game at like a really affordable price. What we're doing here is just brushing all of the fibers into the same direction. So that when we spin them, they'll all spin towards each other. Also, for the yarn, I had brushed Theo and this undercoat fur, and it was really clean. So I'd say, you know, in the first video, I first wash the fur before I start spinning it. But honestly, like, this fur is just so clean that I'll just wash the piece after I'm done spinning it, because it's going into the bath to set the spin anyway, and that spin now when I wash the fur. So I haven't had any issue with that. I just think if you have really dirty yarn, dirty fur, or maybe someone is sending it to you, it kind of stinks, but you know, if it's your own dog that you wash on a regular basis anyway, and you're washing it in the process, I wouldn't worry too much about washing it. You can tell I'm just filling in the gaps here. And eventually this whole thing will just be full of fur. And you can go the other way if you want to grab some of that yarn that fell off the edge. But I try to keep it within these four corners. Start to go down here now. Pick it up from the end. So what these blending boards originally, or are currently used for, are blending different color fibers, different textured fibers together, and then making yarn with it. But what I saw some people doing was using it for this exact purpose, just to get a little bit faster roving. And I've found in my experience that it does make the process a lot faster, and it's much, much cheaper than a drum carder. You might be able to fasten your own drum carder. I think on my previous video, someone had said they made one, or were thinking about making one, out of a bingo drum, and just sort of pulling it around and then buying these sheets and stapling that to two different bingo carders, or two different bingo drums. But you know, this was definitely an easier purchase to just purchase it than try to be handy myself. And I'd like to think that I'm handy, but not that handy. Okay, so now what we want to do is take our wooden dowels, place one dowel underneath, and then take the other dowel and place it over the bottom. So what we're going to do is pull these tightly and just go over just like this. Keep grabbing tightly and almost in an upward fashion. pulling up the yarn, the wool, sorry, from the base. So we'll lose a little bit of the bottom, like just like here. Kind of these sections we can pull up. But sometimes I then pull down on the section just to even loosen up the fibers here. Just pulling up. You can push the fibers up here and over. It's okay if we lose some of those fibers underneath, because we can just do this all again. We're just pulling up over here. Pulling up, you can see them, the fibers coming up here. All the ones that were in the same direction there. So here we have this big thing of all the fibers in the same direction. You know, we have a little bit of scragglers, but that's okay. We'll just add it to the next batch. You can even pick them up here, loosen them kind of a bit up, push them down. But here we then take our dowel one by one. Here's where the real magic happens. Here is now our entire piece of roving that we're all in the same direction, and we can spin directly off of this. What we can also do is unravel it and then strip the roving off, but I think this is just the most efficient method of then going to spin, because all of the fibers are in the same direction, and what we have is this dense piece of roving with all of the fibers neatly packed in, all connected to one another. So now we'll start the spinning process. Great, so we have our roving off to the side, and here we have our electric eel spinner. So on this side, I'll show you, this is where the power cord goes in. Here is the Z or S, which is the direction of spin. And then we have the speed of spinning just here. So this is on the wrong side for the filming, but I will show you how it works here. So here we have our bobbin, and I've just put a scrap piece of yarn on it. And then we're going to sling the bobbin, sling the yarn on the bobbin around, let's say this one over here. Hooks into these little eyelets. And then we have this awesome magnetic hook thing that just goes on just like this. And we come get it through, we take the hook, go through the hole here, grab onto that yarn, pull it through, and now we are ready to spin. What I like to do is just sort of fray the end here so it's going to catch on to the yarn when I do want it to spin onto it. So just kind of make it a little bit looser so I can grab onto those fibers here. Okay, so let's turn it on. Oh, and these are the tension rods here, these little elastics. So here we have it spinning. And see, when we pull it in, it will go around the bobbin. So I'm just gonna pull it out here. So it's putting tension into this piece of yarn by twisting it. So now I'm going to take the roving that I have. I'm just gonna turn it up a bit. And I'm going to just put this piece on. We just really want it to impress upon this piece of yarn and get it kind of on the bobbin. So you can see it's twisting the yarn here. Twisting, twisting, twisting. the fur. Pull the tension up a little so it can spin at a higher rate. And then I'm going to pull it in. And then as I do, I pinch this part and I pull back with a little bit of tension, and then I release, and it tensions and makes the twist into the yarn. You can see it's broken off, the piece of roving. I'll show you how to deal with that in a moment. So I take this piece and then I pull it in. Tension, draft. Twist a little quicker and pull it in there. So what do we do when it gets to the end here? Well, just like we did at the beginning, we take this piece and just connect it to the next one. What the fibers are doing is they're mixing and twisting together. So it's almost like that break didn't even happen. Just like what Rachel and Ross's break. So here we're drafting, letting it twist. And I'm just letting it slowly go into the bobbin. And sometimes you get a little bit of lumps, just rub that out, and it's not going to be perfect immediately. And that's why it's hand spun and handcrafted. Obviously, the faster you go, the faster this is going to be. But also, kind of the trickier it gets with dealing with so much twist being added and managing a lot at one time. So you can see how all of the fibers being in the same direction is really important. It adds a lot of efficiency to the mix, but this is just so much easier than the wooden dowel, twisting it by hand, letting it draft. And I find it's so much more consistent when it comes to the yarn itself. There are, you know, a few lumps, and a lot of them get ironed out in the end, but yeah, it's much better. I find this electric spinning, especially, you know, when you're starting to do it more frequently and you're not just, maybe you're still doing it as a hobby, but you just want to up your efficiency with how much you get done, or maybe a friend, you know, dog owner has asked you to do this. You can do it a lot quicker. Or maybe you have a disability in your hands or your arms, and it's just hard to keep that dowel up. Electrifying the process is a lot easier on the body. And yeah, I just sometimes put on some TV or music in the background and do this all day. Yeah, so in this situation, see, it's a little bit clumpy. I just pinch it, draft it a little bit more on there. And this sort of rule of thumb that I was taught was, if you pinch it and the yarn is twisting in like this, that's good, that's what you want. If it's leaving too many kinks in the yarn, then it's over twisted. And if it doesn't twist like that and there are so many lumps and it's not consistent, then you're probably under twisting the yarn. So you can just play around and experiment with what that looks like for you, and, you know, play around with the tension and the twist and the amount that you draft. And yeah, it's an art, so it's a long process, but it's really fun to kind of learn and understand. And yeah, a little bit. I could use a little bit more. Yeah. And I do really like this spinner. You know, one day maybe I'll up my game to a better spinner, but that'll be how to spin your dog fur 3.0. I also find it's easier when I'm going slower, when I'm spinning slower. I don't have to worry about holding it so much and the tension being added so quickly. I can just take my time with making more of a perfect line. Okay, so now let's say, you know, this was full up to here, or I just wanted to even it out. So I now pinch this on this side, these sort of eyelets, pinch and move over. So now I'm gonna start collecting the yarn on this end of the bobbin, make my way down the bobbin, come back, make my way down until the bobbin is full and even. So now 20 minutes or 30 minutes has gone by. I have filled the bobbin up with all of the yarn that is spun. And I'm just going to tie this off at the end, just in a little overhand knot. And I will retract it from here. Just kind of put it all on the bobbin, pinch it so it doesn't get untwisted. Take it off this little hook here, off the eyelet here, twist it on. Okay, and here is the elastic. Take it off there. This side's elastic off like that. The bobbin just comes off, just like that. Okay, so now we have this bobbin with freshly twisted yarn on the other side. So I'll just put this through right here just to kind of tie it off for now. And there we go, little fresh bobbin. So now the next step is going to be putting it on the niddy noddy in order to set the spin. So you can see in the last video I had this niddy noddy. I just bought a PVC pipe and asked them to cut it in pieces for me. I have these little T-shaped vessels, kind of joints at the end. Just put them on like that. Up at the top here. And over here. Okay. So now, how do we put this yarn onto the niddy noddy? So I take it off here, one hand, go underneath, do another overhand on to here, double just to make sure. Okay, so I grab the niddy noddy in one hand, grab over, here we go, over and under. From another angle, we go over and under, over and under. You can get used to this, over, under. Oops. you don't have to get the PVC pipe cut so long, but I just found that I can do a lot of yarn pretty quickly. I guess once I have a little bit larger bobbins, it'll be better. But of course, it's not entirely necessary to have such a large niddy noddy anyway, because it would take a long time to fill up the entire piping. Okay, so we have the last bit of yarn here. Just going to tie this around because it's not enough to reach the other side. And then tie it in a knot on the other end. And here we go. So here we have all of the yarn on the niddy noddy. So we're going to wash this in the bathtub and set the spin with some warm to, I like to use just hot water, really set the spin. So I'll see you in there. So here I've filled a bathtub full of hot water, and I have the yarn from the niddy noddy, and I've just pre-soaked a bit into the hot water. And what I'm going to do now is take just normal hand soap. I found that you can use shampoo and conditioner to make it a little bit softer, but just plain old hand soap and using it again and again just seems to be just as effective, honestly. And in this scenario, just be a little bit careful with how rough you are with the strands, because if you're a little too rough, then it will felt and you won't get this nice, as nice of a yarn. So I just saturate each strand in soap, just like this. So now I just put it in the tub, give it a little jiggle, further squish. And then let it soak there for about 20-30 minutes. I think I'll turn it on a little bit more just to make sure that top end is really saturated. But then afterwards, I'll towel dry it and hang it up to dry on a heat rack. So see you then. Waited about 20 minutes or so, maybe 30 minutes for our yarn to set the spin. We have a little bit of soap left, so we're just gonna rinse that out a bit. Let's just get it showing in there. Drain that. So now I'm going to lay it out on a towel just to squeeze out some of that excess water. So I'm going to take off one section of the niddy noddy and just lay it nice and neatly there. Fold it down, lay it nice neatly on the other end. And then just keep note of where your ends are. So in this case, this is one end and this is the other. And see how the twist is not, it's not coming undone when I just leave it loose. It's not going rogue. All right, so then what I do is just take one end and fold it in, squish it down. Fold it in, squish it down. Squish. Just twist it in here. Step down on my knee. All right. Just unravel it. It's much drier. Much, much drier. Okay, so now we are going to hang it to dry. Here we are with my heated towel rack. So this is obviously unnecessary in all cases. You can just dry this overnight, but you know, I like a little bit of luxury in my life and you don't have to go out and buy a heated towel rack. I am definitely in love with this heated towel rack for so many other reasons. But what I do is I really like to just start spinning. So the faster it's dry, honestly, the better. So I just hang it around here and then loop it through a few times here, just to like get more contact with the towel rack. So if you have one of these, like by all means use it. If you'd like, you can leave it out in the sun. Here in BC, there is very little sun and a lot of rain, so you're not drying stuff outside that quickly. Just spread out the little yarn. Eventually this will become a skein, and then just flip it around here on the bottom there, and then you're done. We wait for this to dry. Okay, so it has been about 12 hours, just overnight. Theo came to say hello, check on his skeins, and yeah, so what I did was I spun about 4 more bobbins worth and skeins worth. So as you can see, I can just take them off here. This one, you can see it's nice and dried. The twist has held, kind of twists at the bottom here. You can see just like this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is put this back onto the bobbin so that I can ply the yarn, and it will be a double plied yarn. So what I've done is laid the skein out just in a circle here, and I'm going to take from the skein and put it back on to one of the bobbins that I have. So just going to wrap it around, hold one of the sides, and then just wrap it onto itself here. Great, so here is the skein back on the bobbin, but it is the spin has been set on this bobbin. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my second bobbin and do the second skein that I did, so that I can ply these two together with my e-spinner. And then we'll have finally some yarn to knit with. Here we have 2 bobbins full of yarn that the spin has been set on. So right now I would typically have a place to set down the bobbins so that they can equally go into this spinner and be plied. I don't have such a thing. I'm too cheap, and I don't even think they make spools for this, and I could make it myself with like little dowels and then like put the dowels and screw it onto a thing, but I am not doing that because it's kind of easy to just do it like this. So what I do is have one side here just coming from the couch, and then I have the other side on the other side of the couch. So I just separate it like that. And then what I'm going to do here is these are going to be attached onto this piece of yarn that I set there. So I threw this So I'll just shove it in through here. Use the little pokey side. There we go. And then now I can grab it with the hook on the other side. There we go, that's one. And it should be two. Do it. Great. Go twist this in, twist this into the eyelet here. And also push the eyelet down a little, make it easier to separate the two. Tie this, the top here. So in this sense, we want to help it along to get into the bobbin whilst holding both strings evenly. So I kind of grasp like this to make sure it doesn't get too much twist in there. Give it a little bit of slack and then slowly push it in. So add the twist, give it a little bit of slack, and slowly push it in. Give it the slack, keep adding the twist. Up the speed here. Add the twist, push it in. Get a little bit of slack, add the twist. And push it in. The more you add, the easier it'll get because it has more tension to pull it. Adding the twist and letting it feed in. Just lower the tension here so it has an easier time spinning. So you'll know when you have enough twist when that same thing happens as it does before. So we pinch it, it twists in itself. Let's see if you can see it a little bit further on here. I'll add a little bit more twist. Pinch it, pinch this. There you go. You can see how it twists on itself. But it's not a little under twisted, it's not over twisted, just that's how you know it has the right amount of twist. So I'm all done flying these two bobbins. You can see what's left, a little bit on this one and a little bit more on this one. We're gonna finish doing that, but obviously I cannot fit anything more on this central bobbin. So it's kind of what I'm left with. What I'm going to do is obviously set the spin now. All right, so now we have both of our skeins dry, and I've gone ahead and already put this into a ball with the inside center pullable from the outside. So as I am crocheting this piece, I will pull the string from the inside and it comes out nice and neatly. So I'm going to show you exactly how I did that with this skein. So it's really nice, and I like to store them this way. And it's just really easy when you're knitting and to keep all of the yarn in a ball and easily accessible and not just rolling around on the ground. So I'll show you how to do that now. Here we have the skein that was just drying. So I'm going to start from one end. I've selected this end already. I'm going to keep a little bit of the yarn in my thumb, just kind of packaged here, because this is going to be what I pull the center from. This is going to be the center of the ball. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my thumb to loosely wrap the yarn around at an angle. So I start from the bottom and I wrap almost beside the top and over the bottom. So beside, over, maybe do that just a few times here. And you don't want it to be too tight. You can just be a little loose so that you can twist to the side. So you're gonna keep twisting, and that's how we're going to wrap it around. So we start to the side, go below. Side, see how it's kind of in a line there? We twist slightly to the side and do that all again. So going in a line, over, twist. Pull from the skein. Hi, Theo. Okay, in the line, kind of until the top of that thumb, because if it was too much, it would just be a little bit too bulky. Twist to the side. Go in the line there. All right. And this is a little kind of over here. Sometimes it gets a little twisted. There we go. Just grab some slack to begin with. And then go again. So under, shift, again. So just keep continuing this process. Shift, yarn over the ball, shift, grab some slack, and again. Almost one more twist and then we'll be complete. All right, and then I just end looping it under one of the previous sections, because that won't come undone. Just kind of tuck it in there until you need it. And there you go. There you have it. Nice ball, and you can pull from the center here. Yeah, there you go. So happy spinning, and I hope you have a great time, and think of Theo when you are spinning. Theo, say bye. Theo, say bye. Bye. Boop. Theo, boop. Boop. There you go.